Alright guys, I need you to buckle in for this one, because what I'm seeing on the model runs today is one of those setups that just grabs you by the collar, and says, winter is coming early. I'm not talking about a little cold front. Or a couple sloppy snow showers. I'm talking about a full-blown polar vortex disruption. Building over the Arctic that looks ready to unleash one of the earliest, most chaotic cold blasts I can remember seeing on the long-range maps. And the craziest part is, the models are already starting to hint at not one, but possibly multiple major snow events for the central and eastern United States as we head toward the end of the month and into December. I don't want to go full snow hype just yet, but I'm telling you right now, the pieces are lining up. But before I take you into the madness of what's coming, let me set the stage with what's happening right now, because the pattern already looks unstable. As I'm recording this, I'm looking at 3 separate storm regions across the country. First, in Southern California, we've got a rare setup, heavy rainfall slamming into terrain that just isn't built for soaking up water. That desert dirt turns into a slip and slide real fast, and we're already seeing flash flood alerts popping up all over the place down there. It's one of those setups where the radar doesn't even look extreme, but the impacts absolutely will be. Then I look northeastern Montana into the Dakotas, and it's this messy mix of cold rain and wet snow. Nothing blockbuster, not yet. But whenever we start seeing wintry mix this early in November, you've got to watch the pattern. Weather doesn't just randomly spit out snow. It's a symptom of something larger developing upstream. And speaking of upstream, wow, head over to eastern Canada and into the Great Lakes, and we've got legitimate snowfall already stacking up. Light stuff over the Adirondacks, heavier totals deep into Quebec, and oh yeah, the Green Mountains and Berkshires are already catching flakes. Not the blizzard of the century, but again, the atmosphere is loading the gun right now. It's not firing it yet. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you'd like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now, let's move on. So, let's zoom out and talk big picture, because that's where this turns into something I'd call weather nerd electric. The first half of November has already been divided. Warmer west, cooler east. Some of you in the Ohio Valley and Appalachians already felt that early season chill. But now the focus shifts to not what has happened, what's about to unfold. Because when I turn on the model animations, it's the first thing that jumps out is how many moving parts we've got. One storm sliding into Maine Sunday night. Another powerful Pacific system hurling moisture into California and the Sierra Nevada by Monday. Thunderstorm chances bubbling up across the Midwest by Tuesday. Then suddenly everything begins to tighten up in a way that makes me sit up straight, watch what happens by Thursday, the 20th. A low-pressure system drops into New Mexico and Colorado, and instantly we've got a warm front pulling juicy Gulf moisture into Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, while the backside of the system drags in cold air from the Rockies. That, my friends, is thunderstorm fuel. Not your typical chilly November drizzle. This is a setup that screams. Don't forget, we can still throw severe weather at you in November. Yes, I absolutely expect severe thunderstorms, maybe even a few strong ones. But that's not even the headline, because while all of that is happening down south, the far northern atmosphere is about to break. The Arctic is already warming rapidly, and I don't mean surface temperatures. I'm talking deep stratosphere. Warming, the exact thing that weakens, splits, and sometimes completely collapses the polar vortex. I've been staring at these charts for over a decade, and I cannot remember the last time we saw a stratospheric warming event this early. Usually this kind of thing shows up in January, maybe late December if we're lucky. Seeing it in November, it's practically unheard of. That's why the long-range models keep showing the jet stream flattening out near Thanksgiving, then suddenly going haywire. Once the polar vortex gets disrupted, cold air spills south. The pattern becomes unstable, not just for cold, but for major storm development. Watch the end of the run. Around November 28th, 29th, the northern jet comes roaring down from Alberta, while the southern jet lifts moisture straight out of Mexico. When those two streams merge, that's when things get dangerous, and right? Now, the European model has a monster low forming somewhere over the central U.S. dumping snow from Kansas to Michigan and then intensifying into the Great Lakes with sub-985 millibar pressure. Let me put that into human language. That is a winter storm powerhouse signature. The kind that can shut down interstates, drop a foot of snow in 24 hours. Maybe, just maybe, drop snowflakes during the Ohio State versus Michigan game. Yeah, I saw that too. The rivalry of the century. And a snow globe? It probably won't time out perfectly, but the fact that the possibility is even showing up is insane. This is ground zero for some of the earliest. It's the coldest air. I'm all ready. Seeing signal after signal showing winter chills arriving toward the end of November, I'm talking highs in the 20s and 30s. Which is January territory, and along with it, a parade of clippers, Alberta lows, and lake-enhanced snow events. Cities like Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Chicago, Detroit might see their first 1 to 4 inch snowfall before Thanksgiving leftovers even go bad. By the time we hit late December, I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago is already sitting at 101.5 inches of total snowfall, and that's slightly above normal for that point in the season. Minneapolis could be pushing 20 inches by New Year's, and if the patterns line up just right, those totals could be higher. Lake effect snow? Oh, it's happening. Cleveland, Buffalo, Grand Rapids, get ready. This feels like one of those winters where we could see multiple 12-inch lake effect events stacking up. I'm putting Buffalo in the 80 to 100-inch range for the whole season, slightly above the long-term average. And yes, that means multi-foot snow walls could happen again. Here's where things get dramatic. You've got cold air pouring out, Canada and multiple storm tracks converging, southern systems carrying Gulf moisture, and northern systems dragging Arctic air. When those two meet over the Northeast, that's how you get blockbuster nor'easters right now. I'm expecting New York City to finish winter with somewhere between 30 and 40 inches. Not record-breaking. Solidly above normal. Boston could easily hit 45 to 55 inches, and I wouldn't blink if one of those storms drops a foot or more in a single shot. Philadelphia and Baltimore will likely be more of a mix, but they're still in the game for a couple 6 to 10-inch storms this season. And up north, Worcester, Albany, Burlington, these cities could see winter totals stacking up towards 70 inches. Putting them right in line with what we saw a decade ago during that legendary 2013 winter. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We are not in a deep south snow apocalypse setup, but I'm watching signs of colder than normal air making frequent trips southward. That means the door opens for 1 or 2 southern snow events. Atlanta could absolutely see a 1, 2, 3-inch snowfall at some point, maybe even a surprise 4 to 6 if that. Gulf moisture lines up properly. Birmingham? Same thing. Even Jackson. Mississippi might see flurries this year. Not all winter, at least once. Dallas and Fort Worth. This one's tricky. I'm calling for 1 to 2 snow or ice events. Maybe just ice pellets and cold rain for some folks. But don't be shocked if North Texas ends the season with 2 to 4 inches total. Nothing extreme, but enough to cause problems when it happens. This region is like a cold air highway, and once we hit mid-December, it's just one cold front after another. I'm talking extended stretches where cities like Fargo and Bismarck don't get above freezing for a week at a time. Snowfall totals. Here won't be flashy by East Coast standards, but they add up. Fargo, 45 to 55 inches. Sioux Falls, 35 to 45 inches. Omaha probably ends around 25 to 30 inches, which is slightly above normal but within reason. If you ski or snowboard, this is your winter. Colorado's Front Range and the Utah Wasatch will be buried. I'm seeing sign after sign of enhanced storm activity rolling through the Rockies. Denver could finish around 60 inches, which is above normal. Salt Lake City might be in the 55 to 65 inch range. Higher elevations, we're talking 300 inches of seasonal snowfall on the Tetons and Colorado peaks. New York City, 30 to 40 inches. Boston, 45 to 55 inches. Philadelphia, 20 to 25 inches. Washington, D.C., 10 to 18 inches. Cleveland, 65 to 80 inches. Detroit, 45 to 55 inches. Chicago, 35 to 45 inches. Minneapolis, 55 to 70 inches. Denver, 55 to 65 inches. Salt Lake City, 55 to 65 inches. Seattle, 4 to 8 inches. Portland, 5 to 10 inches. Atlanta, 1 to 3 inches. Dallas, 1 to 2 inches. Buffalo, 80 to 100 inches. Alright, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, leave your region or city in the comments. I'll answer them individually as I have time. Commenting is completely free. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.